move on and talk about West Ham United, Pete. Now, it looks like David Moyes is set to leave the London Stadium. Can you give us an update on that, please, and your thoughts, whether it was actually the right decision to let him go, or is it actually harsh on Moyes?
I think it was inevitable that he was going to leave at the end of the season when his contract expired. I think we've talked previously on the pod about be careful what you wish for sometimes. David Moyes has done a remarkable job at West Ham. Regular European qualification, obviously went and won the Europa Conference League last season, so he's put himself down into West Ham history, doing that, bringing a trophy which those fans have been crying out for over the years as well. It was such a great journey for the club as well. They've been consistently in the top 8, top 10 of the Premier League as well, although he's come in for criticism for his style of football. Some people deeming it too negative and everything else, but it's brought results, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. At the end of the day, you want results. You want your team battling in Europe, also finishing high up in the Premier League. You don't want to be playing nice football and being down the wrong end of the Premier League table, fighting relegation, which when Moyes took over, that's where West Ham found themselves. He came in, he rescued them from relegation. He's built upon the team season after season. There's definitely been improvements for me every season, and some of the players that are in there now at West Ham, the likes of Paquetá, Kudos, Jared Bowen, what a signing he has been as well. West Ham, I think, probably batted above their average in recent years under David Moyes, and it's obviously when you raise those expectations, they continually get raised season after season, and fans want more and more. And maybe David Moyes has been a victim of his own success, and I don't think it'll be too long before David Moyes finds himself back in management when he does leave West Ham at the end of the season. I just hope he gets a good send-off in their final home game against Luton this weekend, because I think he fully deserves that for what he's done for West Ham, because obviously he was a bit badly treated first time around when he came in and rescued the club, and then lost the job to Manuel Pellegrini, and now obviously he's had a longer stint in charge, and I think he's had a massive impact at the club, and the fans will hopefully pay tribute to him this weekend in his final home game.
We know, Pete, it looks like Julian Lopetegui is set to join London Stadium to replace David Moyes. Now, there was some talk, actually, Pete, that Jorge Mendes was involved in the deal. Can you give us an update on that, please? Is that the case, or actually do you think it might have been somebody else that was involved in Julian Lopetegui taking charge, potentially?
I'm sure there was probably plenty of parties involved in this deal. If Lopetegui is looked after by Jorge Mendes, there's no doubt he'll be involved, and I'm sure there's other agencies and everything that maybe have brought the potential deal to West Ham's table. It does look like he is going to be the next West Ham manager, and obviously he's had previous experience of the Premier League during his time at Wolves, which he did well when he came in and helped them stay up and sort of consolidate in the Premier League, but then left under a bit of a cloud just before the start of last season, feeling that some promises were broken to him and the finances weren't there for him to compete at Wolves. But he's a top manager, there's no doubt about that. His CV is right up there amongst the best coaches in Europe. He's managed Real Madrid, he's had success at Sevilla, he's managed Spain as well. And as I said, I think he's a good manager, and I do expect him to go in there and have an impact at West Ham once he does take over as well. But as I said, he has got tough boots, or a tough act to follow in David Moyes, because I think he's had great success at West Ham as well. So the pressure will be on him to improve things at West Ham, and maybe they'll be asking for a challenge for those top 4 places next with the new manager, because I think David Moyes continually getting them qualified for Europe and competing for trophies is probably, looking at that West Ham squad, is what was best achievable. So yeah, Lopetegui comes with a high reputation, and I'm sure he will be looking to stamp his own input into that West Ham team as well. And I think it's an exciting appointment for West Ham. But again, like I said, on the flip side, I think David Moyes did more than enough at West Ham as well.
Paul, it sounds like they could be tested potentially with offers for Lucas Paquetá and Mohamed Kudus. Do you think they could both potentially leave? Could you see them staying under Lopetegui and sort of buying into his vision? Or actually, do you think they are likely to be tested with bids this summer?
They're going to be tested with bids this summer without a shadow of a doubt. And it's up to the club now to show their ambition. The supporters wanted a different style of football. They look at Aston Villa. They look at the chance they took on Unai Emery. They look at what he's done this season with the squad that was at his disposal, the players they've brought in. And West Ham fans see a team that's going to get a Champions League place, playing a lot better brand of football. And why can't we do that? So for West Ham now, for the club's ambition, They've got to back the new manager. If it's Lopetegui that's coming in, you look at, coming in to his style of football, he'll want those type of players. He'll want Paquetá, he'll want Kudus, he'll want Jared Bowen. And if West Ham are to progress, you need to keep those type of players. You're only going to regress by letting those type of players go. So I'm sure that the manager coming in will have been given some assurances that these players, or at least the majority of these players, will be staying at the club, unless one of them is used in a sacrificial way that allows the manager a bigger budget. That may have been an agreement. You look whether if Kudus or Paquetá, one of them goes, and then the manager is given the resulting funds to improve the team and the squad in the areas that he sees fit. You could understand that, but I can't see West Ham fans being pleased if a new manager comes in and those three above players mentioned were all to leave.
I mean, Pete, if we look at from an incomings perspective, could Lopetegui turn to Sevilla and Wolves, say, and actually go and look at some of those options? Would they become targets, do you think, for West Ham this summer?
Yeah, there's potential there for Lopetegui to return to his former clubs and sign players that he's previously worked with. We've seen that before, that managers do like to go back to their old clubs and sign players that they have worked with and they know they can trust and they can help implement their new ideas that they're trying to bring across to the team as well. One name to probably keep an eye on will be En-Nesyri at Sevilla, the Moroccan striker. He's been linked with West Ham previously and other Premier League clubs. I think there'll be definitely interest in him come this summer as well, and he could be the perfect answer to West Ham's striking problems. They've been without a number 9 now for a couple of seasons. Jared Bowen's obviously stepped up and filled the void and scored goals as well, but he's probably better playing from a wide attacking role. And I think someone like an En-Nesyri, who got all the attributes, I think, to be a success in the Premier League. He's tall, he's fast, he's a powerful forward, and I think if you get the right supply line to him, he will definitely score goals in the Premier League. So I think he's one name to keep an eye out for, that West Ham under Lopetegui could potentially look to bring in. Regards Wolves players, obviously I think it could be difficult for West Ham because probably the best players at Wolves right now are probably being looked at by bigger clubs than West Ham, clubs higher up in the table, clubs that can offer European football. So I don't see how Lopetegui, as much as he would probably love to, could go back to Wolves and maybe sign a Neto or a Max Kilman or a Ait Nouri or a João Gomez. I think there'll be a lot of interest in those players this summer, and I think they might just be out of West Ham's price range, I think, with other top clubs probably in the market for those players.
And Paul, someone like En-Nesyri, how much would he cost West Ham? What's his valuation in the current market as it stands?
En-Nesyri, probably around 30 million mark, I think, for him. Obviously, Sevilla haven't had the best of seasons this season by their high standards. So, yeah, I think they could find themselves susceptible to offers for En-Nesyri and probably for other players as well. But yeah, as I said, he's come close before to moving to the Premier League. So I think this might be the time where West Ham can strike it lucky by getting a deal done for En-Nesyri. But I think there'll be interest from other top European clubs in him as well. So it's not going to be a straightforward one-horse race in this one. So I think for me, the Lopetegui effect, he will be hoping that maybe that could help them in that pursuit of En-Nesyri in the summer transfer window.
You've just watched a segment from Football Insider's brand new podcast, The Inside Track, with me, Lewis Pearce, alongside the guests on the show. Thanks very much for tuning in. Please do give the video a like, comment your thoughts on the topic, and feel free to share on your social media pages. If you want to listen to the full podcast episode, click the link in the description below. Keep your eyes peeled for plenty more content and exclusives here on The Inside Track.